This episode is dead. In fact, it died 10 years ago this very night. But perhaps along with Christopher and Jenny, you may be able to breathe some form of gaseous life back into it. I do hope so. Welcome to 9 is 10, the Unquiet Dead. Pity the Gelth. And God bless us, everyone.
Thank you, mysterious voice that sounds an awful lot like Mr. Mark Gatiss, the writer of today's subject. Is it him? Maybe it is. Thanks, Mark. Thank you for that. And everybody, thank you for joining me for the third 9 is 10. Today we're discussing the third episode of the 2005 series, The Unquiet Dead. This is one of my personal faves. So, joining me this week is somebody who also absolutely adores this episode and adores Doctor Who in general. If you're familiar with the Who community, which is a word I've just made up, Doctor Who community, on YouTube, you may have seen this lovely lady's videos. She is Lippmannette, a.k.a. Jenny Lippmann. Hello.
Woo! Hello.
Woo, welcome back, technically. Because
yes.
if they've all been listening, they'll know you were here for the after party last week.
Yeah, they better be prepared for the test about who presented every single after party and commentary.
You know what? That's happening now.
Yeah.
We're conducting that.
I've brought them. I've got them here. Like,
there we go.
Just,
so,
yeah.
Audio proof of paper.
That was rubbish.
We're like Big Finish.
Yeah.
Okay. They're not rubbish.
No, they do it far better than we do.
But that's good. But also, I'm gonna have to ask you on a side note. You're a big Sherlock fan, right?
I was. No, I am. No, yeah. I am.
Yeah, Mycroft just introduced you.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, actually, isn't it?
Cool.
Oh my god, I didn't even think of it like that.
That's quite. It's quite cool. Big thanks to Mark there for.
It was a nice surprise.
Yeah, and
Chris surprised me with it. It was really nice.
I just leapt out of a cupboard one day with a
yeah.
speaker and went, "There you go."
Played it in my ear.
But especially thank you for setting the tone, because of course this is, in a way, the first Christmas story of the new series.
Yes, rather.
Which is weird, because it's obviously not the Christmas special, but it's Christmas Carol is a big influence. We meet Charles Dickens. It is set on Christmas Eve, I think this episode is.
I believe so.
And, yeah, so snow everywhere in Cardiff. In fact, is this the first and only case for a good long while of proper snow in Doctor Who?
I have a fact.
Oh,
it's so exciting. As in you mean not... I actually know what the snow was made out of.
Go for it. Hit me with it.
They originally used torn up paper for the snow, but it scared the horses. Yeah.
Okay, alright, the texture and stuff freaked them out.
It freaked them out. But in terms of, real snow as in not an atmospheric disturbance.
Yeah, or the ash of a burning ship, or
yes, yeah.
You know, any of that grim stuff.
Yeah, it's real snow. It's nice.
Let me momentarily take us away from such heinous subjects of death and depravity, to very quickly remind you all, if you're already watching the episode right now, stop. You should know the drill, you know what I'm saying. Go back, get to the time code 000000. If you're on Netflix, get past the BBC logo. If you're on your iTunes version, get past the BBC logo. You've got a blank screen, and we're not quite there yet. We're not with Sneed yet. So, get it paused, get it ready. Speaking of getting ready, how did you come into Doctor Who fandom?
Ooh, that's something I've never been asked before.
You momentarily became a Gelf there.
Yeah, ooh, Doctor. That was rubbish. This is why we don't act. Well, in terms of how I got into Doctor Who, it was 2005. I am 24 years old. My mother talked about it throughout my life and was excited about it coming back. Unquiet Dead is the episode that I think piqued my interest the most.
It was the one.
It might have been Unquiet Dead, really.
It was the one that grabbed you by the Gelf.
It grabbed me by the Gelf, yeah. I was watching it at a party. I should have been doing other things at the party, of course, doing party things, but I was actually in the kitchen watching Unquiet Dead. So that's where it started. In terms of getting involved in the things like this, like my YouTube and Twitter and the commentary itself, that started about the time of Series 5 when I started going to conventions. So that's when it got big. That's when I really got into fandom. And Series 6 is the time I started to... I decided I wanted people to hear what I had to say about Doctor Who, and then the rest is history.
Well, I'm glad you did. I mean, I will say it here on mic as proof. You are quite possibly my favourite Who reviewer on YouTube. Which is why I asked you down, and I'm so glad you've joined me here. So will you please sign this stack of cards?
Of course.
I printed off photos of your face.
How much are you selling these for?
I'm not. I'm just going to wallpaper my bathroom with them.
Oh, okay then. Oh, that's not the first time that's happened.
So, to getting things back on a sinister level. Wait, hang on, that's not the first time that's happened. You know what? That's another podcast for another time. I want to know that sinister story. But first, by Jove. So, what's your general feeling for the 2005 series? Because obviously that was the one that you're like, oh, okay, I'm watching. You ignored a party. You ignored shenanigans to watch Eccleston and Piper run around.
Shenanigans.
Is there any other kind at that age?
Well, that's very true. It's very true. What was the question?
What are your feelings overall about Shenanigans and the 2005 series?
I have so much love for Series 1. It's unbelievable. I think because it got me into it, of course, but because Eccleston was so good, and in a way, because he left, I feel prematurely, I would have loved to have seen more. I think we all would have done.
Oh, yeah.
I think his Doctor and Rose, and everything was perfect, wasn't it? It was just the Doctor, the companion were perfectly written and acted, and it had a lot of heart as well, and adventure. And I don't think there has been a series that's captured my imagination as much as Series 1 did until 5. 5, then it felt like I was watching 1 again. But 1 is just very special, I think, for a lot of people our age as well.
Some more points, and again, like I'm not gonna ask you to explain all, because I'm gonna tell people to go if they want to know more about your feelings for that year and the launch.
Yes,
you released a brilliant YouTube video on the week of the kick-off of the anniversary.
I did.
Which I will, if you're watching on YouTube, it's in the description below. If you're watching on SoundCloud, I shall pop it in the comments so you can all give it a watch and give it a look. And then subscribe and like and do all those things that all the trendy kids do these days.
That would be nice, because I would like 1,000 subscribers and I'm in the 900s. Do it!
Do it.
Woo!
Even if it means making multiple accounts. Make it happen!
Yes.
But take us... So, I was going to take us back to the Unquiet Dead, but you did. It was at the party.
Quite.
Where do you stand with this episode? Give us a little taste before, and I know you're quite fond of this one.
I think this episode had it all. It had a creepy villain. It had a historical figure. Written well. Written very well.
Yeah. And cast superbly as well.
Exactly, yeah. And it was our first taste of going back in time as well. Since the series started, so I think it has it all, and it has a significant amount of peril as well, and it's very funny. But Mark Gatiss is good at that. That's the thing. I'm not just saying that because he recorded that lovely message. Mark Gatiss has always been good at writing romps, as it were. So I think this gets it right, from the fear to the adventure.
There's a great mix of scares and just fun, and again, like you said, the historical figure. This begins a trend in the Russell era of Who, of sort of one of the first episodes of the series having a historical figure play a big part in an adventure.
Of course, yeah.
And what better way to start with Charles Dickens, man?
I know, you can't beat it, can you?
It's cracking. So, without further ado, after hearing a message from the author of the piece, we're now going to watch a story that stars the author of the pieces that the story is inspired by.
Yes.
That's very meta.
It was a bit meta, actually.
Broken down the walls of reality.
Already. And we haven't even pressed play.
We haven't, and that's the point. You can't press play yet, but line it up, ladies and gents. Get your beverage of choice to hand, perhaps banana daiquiri. Get your fingers on the buttons. We're about to start. In a 3, a 2, a 1. Go. Welcome to Sneeds.
And his cocktail.
Yeah, that's a very good point, actually. A good friend Darren pointed that out.
Yes, Darren and his wonderful comments. It does look like a cocktail, though, he's right.
Maybe that's how you get by in Victorian undertakers. That's how you get by all the grim death and the oncoming spooks.
Yeah,
just
many cocktails.
No, my policy is I like to start with a very large...
Extremely large, bigger than my head.
I like to wipe out a few brain cells before I begin. Just to make myself feel comfortable. It numbs the pain, sir. Would you care for some?
Oh, he's got fantastic hair. Not Sneed.
He's got fantastic mutton chops. He balances it out.
I saw a man in Manchester the other day with mutton chops. He was like in his 20s. It baffled me. Shouldn't happen, should it?
Was he carrying a gigantic cocktail glass with him though, and talking about? I'll give you a moment.
Now that you mention it, he was.
Oh. Okay, now right, here we go.
Oh my god.
Zombies.
Probably slapped him in the face then.
Do we count these guys as zombies? I think of them as zombies.
I think they technically are, because they're reanimated corpses, and that's what zombies are, isn't it?
Oh yes.
I like how Sneed's like, oh god, this is happening again.
Yeah. We've got another one!
Yeah, we've got another one, oh, for God's sake.
Which again is brilliant because like the structure of a lot of Who stories of both the original run and everything is the kind of arrive and then the adventure begins.
Yes.
And here it's already going on.
Yeah.
They're just walking into it.
This shot always freaks me out. It's so scary.
Oh man.
Oh no, it has me. It's really scary. That
And we're
first
in.
shot. It's very Gatiss.
I do want to see the next 2 seconds though, where she sort of stumbles into the camera a bit and then goes, "Was that all right?"
No, can you do it again, please?
Oh, all right. I'll just warm up. There he is. Look at his name. Handsome name.
This opening sequence, man.
Oh, there's a handsome name. Hello.
Oh, I can't even deal with this opening. And that I always thought that logo looked like a canoe. I've always thought canoe, and now you're not going to be able to stop thinking it.
We're sailing down the river of adventure towards another
That was beautiful.
island of joy or something.
Yes.
I saw it started good, and then I kind of...
Yeah. Fun fact, this episode had 2 alternate titles, which I found out recently. Yes. Which I might have actually just forgotten. Oh my god, I knew I should have brought my notes.
That's all right.
Cut this out. Cut that out right now.
This is live.
Oh my god! Oh, it was the Angels of Crippingwell.
Ah!
Oh, she's remembered. It's okay. It's all right. Which I think is a very good title. There was also the Crippingwell Horror,
Oh, that's good.
which is good and made me think of the Crimson Horror.
Yeah,
So he got horror in there eventually. So well done there, Mark.
It was playing around in the old brain.
Yeah, but I
till
think
it
the
emerged.
Unquiet Dead is a really cool title.
That's a great line.
How
Also,
professional
as well-
of you.
First appearance of Eve Miles as well.
Oh, wasn't she fantastic in this episode?
She's adorable.
You really empathised with her.
I want to give her a cuddle.
She was 86, she can't have got far.
She looks like... She sort of looks like the human personification of a really adorable teapot and a doily.
She does, because she's sort of got a doily on her head, hasn't she?
She's essentially... She's Mrs. Potts in training.
Yeah. I'm never going to be able to unsee that.
I do love a good ghost story as well.
And Mark is so good at them, that's the thing. He loves his horror, as we know, but...
One of my biggest influences in general is if Mark, if you end up listening to this, apologies for sort of sucking up so much.
We're not doing it on purpose.
Yeah, I mean, but, you might be listening to this and going, "Oh, look at their funny voices." But
Yeah.
one of my favourite things ever, one of my biggest influences in terms of entertainment comedy, the way I write, the way I look at entertainment, is The League of Gentlemen.
Yes.
And you can tell that, like, Mark particularly, but like the guys all had a ball writing anything that was sort of Victoriana. Like the Christmas special has the story of the cursed monkey's knackers and stuff, that cursed Chinnery's family, the vet, throughout generations. And then similarly in the film Iggy Topman's Apocalypse, there's stuff set further back, and they really revel in the historical settings.
Quite, yeah.
And toying with them. And again, like, you can see that he does enjoy writing about stuff in human history with The Idiot's Lantern in the second
Of
series,
course, yes.
Victory of the Daleks in series 5.
And I always think he does a really beautiful job of that, and this episode, I mean, we've had a few Victorian episodes since, but I think this one is the definitive one, in my opinion.
That's the first bit of Rose sort of flirting just a little bit there,
Oh,
actually.
yeah.
She doesn't flirt
Yes.
too much with the Ninth Doctor. It's more about jealousy and
I loved their relationship.
and one-upping each other.
But
yeah,
you're right, they did have a little bit of something going on. And of course, the Doctor does give her a lovely compliment soon, doesn't he, about what she's wearing.
Although, bonus points for the Barbarella reference.
Yeah,
Start right
he's
at
always,
Barbarella.
he's always good with his references, is Mark.
Oh, bless her. Leave her alone, Sneed. She's terrified.
Look at her eyes.
She's terrified. She's wearing half an Easter egg on her head and she's frightened. Leave her alone, Sneed.
Sneed was a really good villain.
He's great. Well, because that's the thing as well. Like, he's not intentionally a baddie, but he's
a creepy guy.
Yeah,
he's a creep.
He's the secondary. He's like the secondary antagonist.
Yes, he is, and he's really good. You love to hate him.
But later on, you kind of feel sorry too, and the whole business, like the whole notion of the business falling apart. It's like, this is kind of sad. Like, it's beyond your control. But
you can see why he's so mad though.
He gets upgraded or downgraded, I suppose, to zombie status as well later. So he does get to baddie it up a bit. The acting like has a cracking time with this one. Yes,
it's all very well cast. The whole episode.
Oh, this is nice. Here he is, Simon Callow.
He's so good in this role. And of course, he wasn't going to do it, was he, Simon Callow, unless Dickens was written accurately.
Because he was, I think he still does it from time to time. He has like a one-man show, doesn't he?
Yeah, and he does readings.
Dickens.
Yeah.
As Charles Dickens.
Of course, yeah, and he's very talented, and I did read that he was very pleased about the way Dickens was written, because obviously he's towards the end of his life in this episode, isn't he? Because he's talking about finishing his famous unfinished work, Edward Drood.
Yeah, and the Edwin Drood and the Blue Elementals, I think is the title he goes with at the end of this.
Yeah. And he never finishes it, but obviously in his later years, Simon Callow, he said, not Simon Callow in his later years, Dickens in his later years, Dickens was very sort of unwell and sad, and that's sort of how he's portrayed here, and it's believable.
Big sign of being a 90s kid is that the moment I saw Simon Callow in this episode, the first thing I was immediately thinking of, and not so much now because the years have gone by, I've absorbed more stuff that he's been in, and I've watched more things with him in, and listened to more stuff that he's been in. But I looked at him in this episode going out, and the first thing I thought was Mr. Ventura, because I was thinking of When Nature Calls.
I never even I didn't even connect the dots.
Yeah.
You can't beat a bit of Ace Ventura, can you?
Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls is a very convoluted spin-off of modern Doctor Who, because Charles Dickens is in it, and Winston Churchill's in it as well. So
you could say that Doctor Who copied later years.
I think Ace Ventura is the 14th incarnation of the Doctor. Thoughts?
Oh,
No, don't.
In some AU fan fiction somewhere, that's happening. Maybe it already exists. I love this scene.
Spike's his companion.
Well, I love this. He compliments Rose, and then he says, "You're beautiful for a human," and I love that.
Yeah.
That Eccleston did moments like that so brilliantly, because it just showed his alienness. And he there is a thing between him and Rose. There was, of course.
Oh, that's such a nice shot. Just the crunch of the snow.
They wanted to see this through Rose's eyes, didn't they? When this was filmed, whoever it is, Mark Gatiss and the production team wanted Rose to see, the 1800s first, because we're Rose, aren't we? The audience are Rose.
I just remembered as well, Simon Callow reprises the role in...
the episode we don't talk about.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which, well, I have similar reservations with that episode, with the Wedding River song as well.
You can't win them all. That's...
But I do quite like the opening of that episode, the whole mashed up history.
Yes.
Because it does make you go,
and he's
hang
on telly, isn't he on BBC Breakfast?
He's on BBC Breakfast, yeah, talking about his new book, and it's like, this is so weird. But it's very cool that he obviously enjoyed his time on this enough to go, alright, I'll do a cameo, I'll pop in again and just...
Yeah, I think that's really nice, actually, that we do still get cast coming back, because it's clearly such a laugh. That's what I think. But it'd just be the best thing ever, wouldn't it, if you were on Doctor Who? Well, that's my fan's perspective, of course.
Here we go. Here's the first, as far as I'm aware, this is the first nod to and sort of derogatory comment about Cardiff. Like, the fact that, this becomes a recurring motif a bit later on. This moment is the first time we get a reference to the TARDIS taking him to the wrong place in the series. So that's quite nice. Two nice little references there. This wasn't even filmed in Cardiff. He said knocker.
Swansea.
Swansea!
It had more Victorian architecture. I don't think I've ever been to Swansea, but I've been to Cardiff. It can double as any city ever, as far as I'm aware.
Heaven's like Swansea, as far as I've been told.
Really?
No. Now, this is creepy. Play Where's Wally with the crowd.
Oh, my lord.
If you can resist just listening to Callow, because, again, you're getting a glimpse here of what his one-man shows are like.
Yes.
As Dickens. But you get to play Where's Wally every time we cut to the crowd shot.
Yes, briefly earlier, you spot a sort of terrifying face in the audience.
Oh, there she is. Oh, my God. I wonder if stylistically this was a conscious choice, but... anyone familiar with the stage production of The Woman in Black?
Oh my, yes.
And I think the ITV, I think it was ITV dramatisation of it. I might be wrong, but the TV movie version from a few years back. This is very Woman in Black in terms of the look, the silhouette, like the shape of her, and the gaunt face specifically, and like she's just missing a veil.
Yeah, very, very creepy. I mean, all the undead, as it were, in this episode all have the sort of same look about them, the contact lenses and the sort of the simplistic makeup, and they did that on purpose, as far as I'm aware, because they didn't want them to be too frightening for the audience, and yet they still got complaints from parents about how frightening it was. So you just can't win, can you?
Never fully. You could never truly win.
No.
Now, the Gelth, all gaseous and whatnot like that, beautiful stuff. And I love the fact they've gone, right, okay, blue flame. Like, anyone who's ever handled a Bunsen burner at any point has probably then tried to do an impression of the Gelth. And then burnt down the lab. So don't do that. But the fact that they are they are a gas form, but the colouring, the glow and everything is just like blue flame, like just
very clever.
It's a gorgeous look, and especially plays later on when they go all red and fiery and
they're a beautiful looking villain / monster. But they overwhelmed the CGI quota from the mill, didn't they?
Yes, they did. Yes,
because they did so many ethereal swirls, as it were. Yes, my chair keeps creaking.
That's right.
I can't stop swiveling.
We'll get the mill in to give it an ethereal swirl, so that it, sort of the creaking smooths out to a sort of a wisp. That was also the first. No, it's not the first, because it happens last episode as well. Like, we're going back to the sort of the trope of the companion being snatched.
Oh yes, Rose,
the old Wonder Woman trope.
I was thinking this. Rose got snatched quite a lot in series 1. But yeah, the end of the world she did as well, didn't she? Mate.
That's a sentence we've all wanted to say at some point.
Follow that hearse.
This is my coach! What follows is my favourite interaction ever between the Doctor and a historical character.
It's brilliant. The only word for this is fanboy. He proper fanboys over him.
Yeah. In what way are you a means of keeping oneself cool?
Yeah. I'm a huge fan.
This is nice as well. Just a nice highlight of the other works that obviously like Oliver Twist and stuff, but the Signalman, stuff that people tend to overlook.
Yes, you can tell that Mark Gatiss knows his stuff. He's done his research.
No, I think he can stay.
I think that'd be anyone, wouldn't it? Yeah, you can stay.
That's a good point, actually. A lot of the historical figures who have appeared in Doctor Who in the new era tend to be authors.
Yes, very
authors
true.
And
we had
playwrights.
Agatha Christie, didn't we?
Christie, Shakespeare.
Yes.
Who else am I thinking?
We had a mention of J.K. Rowling.
We did, yeah. Well, yeah, I did. I meant a screamed good old J.K. mention.
Yes.
I love how that's a reference that dated. That was brilliant. Shakespeare Code on broadcast. Wait till you read book 7. Oh, I cried. It's like, oh, that's a good reference.
He was right.
And then
well.
it was true. But then a year later, it was like, we've all read it. We've all read it, David.
Yeah. So
come on, David. Are you going to solve that, David?
Yeah. What else are you going to say now?
Come on, David. Change it, David.
You say David one more time,
Mr. Tennant. People tuning in at this moment are thinking, this is the most bizarre episode of Torchwood I've ever watched.
What was Sneed's plan here? What's he going to do here? He's just made it worse, hasn't he, really? He should have just left her behind and made it worse.
What I'm going to do is wait until she's woken up, see? Then I'm going to say, you tripped up, so you're all right now, off you go. Good day.
What am I doing in a morgue?
Because he doesn't leave her in there to get
no, it just happens, but he does lock the door.
Like a creepy man.
Yeah.
I would like to see a cheap exorcism. I want to know what that consists of. Do him an exorcism on the cheap. The bloke just comes in with a copy of Poltergeist on DVD.
Yeah.
Wiggles it around a bit. Puts it down. It's like, this house is clean.
Oh, it's very creepy, this scene. I do like it, actually.
The door knocker as well, like giving the door knocker a nice close-up, especially after we've just had the whole Marley's face bit as well.
Yeah, Gatiss wanted that, didn't he? He wanted Marley's face to appear in the knocker.
We get it, don't we, later, in the Gelth starts to eke through.
Yeah, it's a
outside.
lovely little reference. Christmas Carol is my favourite. I always have to read it at Christmas. Always. No other way.
Oh, that's brilliant. I forgot about that line. What the Shakespeare is going on.
Nice.
Nice stuff. That's brilliant.
Are you all right? Does he look all right, Rose? I don't know, the Victorians weren't up for a laugh, were they? They never kidded about anything.
Do you know what would be funny, Carruthers? I'm going to lie in a cold room for several hours, and then when they bring in some young lady who's easy to scare, I'm going to pop up and get a jolly good fright. Really? Yeah, I've got nothing better to do. They haven't invented the games console yet.
It's going to be a long time.
Yes. What's that? I don't know. But just you wait till the television. What's that? I don't know.
Wait until book 7, it'll make you cry.
Until that's released, I'm going to lie in this coffin and pop out and frighten a young lady who's been drugged. The scenario is incredibly likely to happen. Now, this is the first instance of Eccleston where he should be standing out, especially because Rose is also in the period piece.
Yes.
She's dressed for the occasion. He isn't.
They always dress the companion to the occasion, never the Doctor.
Yeah.
No.
In fact, that's a good point. He doesn't tend to do it very often, does he?
I think it's nice, though, because he's supposed to look like an outsider.
Yeah, but that was what's quite nice about Eccleston's costume, too, is that it's basic. It's trying to blend in. He doesn't want to be spotted. But similarly, he should pop in a situation like this, especially when the companion... Because, again, to the audience eye, you're following their story. So in End of the World, you see him and Rose hanging out. Doesn't seem out of place. You see them hanging out here and she's in that dress. You're like, well, hang on. He's going to stick out like a sore... Why does the leather jacket blend in so well?
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? He does fit in.
It's bizarre.
I love it when he just lets Rose have a go at everyone. He's just standing in the corner smirking. And that comment she makes about how Sneed, his hands had a wander. Yeah. Tickles me. Tickled her, I imagine. Let's not go there.
Dear departed.
Can't keep them down.
This is
worst funeral parlour ever.
This is a... Oh, that's... Oh, see, knowing what he's now going to say, like the fact that, the whole psychic thing there, his look was just beautiful. Just like, how the hell does she... What the bloody hell is this about? Oh! Illusion. This is what I'm going to call... I'm going to call it a Gatiss trait.
I can't believe you told Charles Dickens to shut up.
I think Charles could quite believe it.
No.
I'm going to call it a Gatiss trait. Mark, especially in these time periods, likes to really play with dialogue and just different words. I mean, I think one of his Big Finish... Not Big Finish, sorry. I might have been a Big Finish. I can't recall. Apologies to everybody out there screaming at me. But one of his previous stories was called Phantasmagoria.
Oh, yes.
Which is a word that is then in this script somewhere. Like, it's put in
little back
as sort
reference.
of a nod. Yeah.
I do like those little nods. Very nice. I do also like what we just saw there, where the Ninth Doctor is explaining the rift and he says that's the reason for ghost stories a lot of the time. I like little things like that where they give a reason for something that we know in our world. Which
Torchwood then later on described. Modern ghost stories are a bunch of Romans and a giant demon walking around Cardiff. Ghost stories, ladies and gentlemen.
Torchwood, we won't go there either.
Although I do like this begins the tradition of that then plays later on in the series and ties into Torchwood and Series 3. Like, the rift kicks off here.
It does, yes.
If you were doing like a Torchwood marathon, you wanted to absorb everything about... I mean... Yeah, good luck to you.
Yes.
But if you wanted to watch the entirety of Torchwood, do a whole Torchwood marathon, technically you should start with UNQUIET DEAD.
Well, yeah.
You should watch UNQUIET DEAD.
This is where it begins,
Boomtown,
isn't it? And obviously
then
we have Gwyneth, who we have confirmation is actually related to Gwen as well. We have that in Journey's End, don't we?
Well, we say confirmation. We get a...
yeah, that's surprisingly accurate.
Which David Tennant then famously reprised the role of in Day of the Doctor, and they look at each other's glasses going...
Yeah. Yes, an odd sound effect.
The 10th Doctor's most...
He had his own language, didn't
uncelebrated catchphrase.
Uncelebrated.
It's like...
What about Alonzi?
You've got Alonzi, you've got I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, and then you've got...
Yeah. You can't see my face, listener, but it is crumpled.
There was a cringing motion there.
Yes, it rather was a cringe. But then again, they all have their catchphrases now. 9, of course. Fantastic.
Oh, see, this is a lovely note as well. Like, the reason he's so against everything here, the reason this is freaking Charles out so much isn't because it's, oh, bollocks, Tommy rot, poppycock. It's because he's now doubting what he knows. He's spent his whole life striving to learn.
It's a nice little extra angle, really, because I think in some episodes, when we've had a character, an author or a celebrity in it, they never really have moments like that. It's nice to give it an extra little layer, really, rather than just having them as that face.
Especially because the only danger, really, well, there's a few dangers, I suppose, but the danger with using historical figures, people who really existed in these stories, is you have to find a way to put it within their life that doesn't affect it, or doesn't. It means it can't necessarily be noticed and highlighted and stuff.
Yes, exactly, which is why it's quite inspired, really, to have this set at the end of Dickens's life.
Because it's sort of, it gives him. As weird as it's obviously, like, his books weren't about him, but obviously, he's a big champion of this, social order of things at the time and everything, and but it gives him almost like one more adventure.
Yes.
Which is a weird thought. It's like this fictional version of Charles Dickens is now giving the real Charles Dickens just sort of like a bit of a bow.
Yeah, it's lovely,
to a generation
isn't it, really?
that is 100 odd years old from him being here anyway. It's like, here you go, everybody. Here he is. This is why he's amazing. And
it was the same when they had Van Gogh as well.
Yeah, I love that episode.
Oh, beautiful episode.
Vincent the Doctor makes me happy in my mind and my head and my heart
soul.
and my pants and my head.
And your pants.
No,
I see.
That didn't say that at all. That's what we're talking about.
I love this scene because it really is well written. Two girls having a bit of a chatter and a gossip, and I really like it. But then it gets quite serious quite fast, and we have the mention of Bad Wolf, of course. Is this the first vocal mention?
First.
It's a very good question.
I think it might be the second. There was a brief mention of it in Bad Wolf. In Bad Wolf.
Yeah, obviously.
Sorry, I was just for a moment there. I was possessed by a glowing Billy Piper. In The End of the World. The Bad Wolf business or whatever.
Oh, of course,
yes. Conversation.
Yes, this is it's made quite a big deal of here. But I really like this speech.
Bad Wolf.
Yeah, I really like this speech that Gwyneth gives to Rose about the things you've seen. It's quite a chilling moment. I really like it.
Especially there, like, it's such a nice reveal. Like, maybe your dad's up there too, and it's like, hang on.
How do you know that?
Do you know about this?
Yeah. Oh, it's so good.
That little flourish of music as well.
Oh, Murray Gold.
In this episode, he practices something quite different. Actually,
he does. It sounds a lot different to his normal stuff.
There's a lot of silence in this, and then just these little quiet flourishes.
Violin.
They're
very spooky.
You can tell he's approached this with a bit of a ghost story.
Oh yeah, he always gets the tone right, I think. But Billy's acting here is spot on as well. It says it all in her face.
For she. Thing is, this is still a nicer description of London.
It's true, it doesn't look like that. It's nowhere near as pretty.
There's metal birds in the sky, there's people running around half naked. It's not that exciting, unfortunately, Gwyneth. I mean, they've got a cracking Forbidden Planet, but...
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
We're having a great in-depth discussion about how beautiful their Forbidden Planet is earlier.
It is gorgeous.
Because the Manchester one makes us a bit sad.
Yeah, just a little bit. In our hearts and minds.
Yes, and pants.
Oh, speaking of pants...
I don't even know where you were going with that.
Eccleston, he stirs me in many ways.
Yeah, it's true. He's a beautiful man. Oh, look at his ears. He's just... Oh,
look at his mind. Look at his soul. Look at his pants. This is nice because, again, I don't think he gets many moments like this where he can just sort of quietly chat to...
And he's so intense, though. He can just be quietly talking like he is now, and he's so intense. I think this is why his Doctor was so popular as well, because he could be intense and he could be harsh, but he could also still be silly and likeable. And I feel, personally, that's where Capaldi might have fallen a little bit short.
Yeah.
But that's just my personal view, of course. But I do think Eccleston got that balance perfectly.
Yeah, a lot of why the Ninth Doctor works is down to the writers, I think, having a great deal of trust in
His abilities.
Chris to bring forth what he thinks would be right, what he thinks would suit the merriment. This is such a nice little scene as well.
I like the Ninth Doctor's puns. A happy medium. Whee.
It's probably the biggest cheer that pun's ever got.
I do like a pun. Well, he makes puns later, doesn't he? Or is it in earlier? He makes a few puns, but they have a joint joke about hullabaloo and
yeah,
such wit.
This is sheer folly. Oh my god, can we have an entire episode set prior to this where it's not even a Doctor Who story per se? It's just Charles Dickens dismissing things.
Yeah,
I'd watch 45 minutes of Simon Callow.
Tommy Rot.
Yeah,
I don't think you can beat that, can you? That's a very nice shot. This episode originally was supposed to be set in a hotel, wasn't it? A spiritualist hotel, with Mr. Sneed on one floor and Gwyneth on another. And I suppose we got a hotel later on, didn't we? In Series 6. We got one in the God Complex. Not written by Mark Gatiss, of course, but we did get one. But I think it works as it is in the funeral parlour. Perfect setting.
It's the atmosphere here, the light, and
yeah,
everything. Just beautifully done. Guy pointed out a few weeks ago that the colourists deserve a lot of praise for this series.
Oh,
it has
definitely.
Such a rich look to it.
It does. Lots of sort of rich oranges, pinks. It feels warm as a series. And all the series have a different tone to them, don't they? But this one has a particularly nice, almost like a classic-y tone to it. Classic-y. Just made that word up.
Classical.
Classical.
A classic-y. Now, this is an interesting effect, because the Gelf, the actress who sort of plays the lead Gelf, was recorded. So it was for reference. She was recorded up close with light on her face, and they apparently mixed the footage of that with the effects that they were doing. So it's kind of like a DIY mocap sort of thing going on. Like
they've used her
visual, the reference tape to, you know, like that's the base. We're now just going to pretty it up and make you all see through and creepy. But it's weird because it doesn't. You know, I mean, we're not looking at Caesar from Dawn of the Planet of the Apes here. But you can feel. I think you can feel that there is something solid there.
Yes.
Like it's not too computer graphic-y. It is not flowy too much.
It's nice. I think it's not over the top, is it? I mean,
until later, where it kind of
it
needs to charge right up and freak us out. Oh, look at Charles! Look at Charlie boy! It's true. It's like Sarabi. Tell me it's not true.
That was a completely random Lion King reference.
That's alright. If Tennant could make one in Christmas
that's
Invasion, I could drop one in the Unquiet Dead.
That's a good point. Yeah, surprisingly topical.
Lion King reference, cutting in.
I do like the Doctor and Rose's little arguments when, obviously it's Nine and Rose. They have a love-hate relationship, sort of. There's a deep running river, a deep current of love, but actually they have a go at each other a lot. And I like that, though. It's not over the top. I think in the later series we do have too many raging arguments. The Doctor doesn't say much, whereas Nine is just, he'll just have it out.
He'll confront her, because he just wants the easy life. He wants the simplest.
He does, and I always remember him having a go at her in Father's Day.
Well, that's what I like. Building up, again, this is almost like a precursor to Father's Day. It's her saying, like, why can't we change that? Like, we can change things. It'll save them. He's like, it's not going to happen.
It's almost laying the foundations for Father's Day, as it were.
Things have to stay. Things have to stay the way they're meant to be. Well, actually, no. It's more of the reverse, isn't it? Because he's saying, "We'll do it. It's fine," but she is saying, well, "Hang on, that's not right. In modern day, that's not thingy. Like, you shouldn't change it." Oh, actually, now saying out loud, it's almost the polar opposite.
Yeah.
But it's the precursor of, like, playing with time.
Yeah, it is. It's that was what was nice about this series, is that it did everything that we needed in Series 1. Obviously, we needed to see that time travel was fun, but also that it was dangerous, and also that you can't change everything. It's not that easy.
It's never that straightforward or simple. Aww. It's like a puppy. A puppy wearing
She has got lovely puppy dog eyes, hasn't she?
Eve Miles' puppy dog eyes.
I like that she calls them the angels. It's very sweet. She's so sweet. She's so likeable. But she wasn't supposed to be such a major character, was she, Gwyneth? But the production crew took to her, and she became a main character, which I think was an inspired decision, because she's so sweet. And obviously there's always a supporting cast in Doctor Who, isn't there? There's guest stars, and they're not always likeable. They don't always work, but Gwyneth really worked. You
feel genuinely sorry for her, as you know.
And you feel genuinely sad, at the end of the episode when, of course, she... Spoilers. Dies. You really feel for her.
My God, those are some purple feet.
I know.
Very cheery. Hey? Dickens reference? So here we go. Again, talking about the balance of time.
Yeah, now this comment here, this is a page of facts from me. No, but didn't Russell originally want a scene towards the end of this episode where we saw a world, the Dots took Rose to the future if they hadn't stopped the Gelth of the future where bodies were walking around, corpses were walking the earth, and they didn't do it mainly because of budget, but do you think that would have worked?
I think it'd be a tough one to explain away. I think because obviously this series isn't too heavy on the sci-fi.
Yeah.
It's trying to sort of keep a happy medium. I think that would have been maybe a bit much for some casual viewers who were just like, oh, everyone's been talking about this last 2 weeks, I'll tune in. Like, to sort of be like, oh, here's what the future could be now, but we're going to go back and it'll change, then it won't be like that. And maybe a bit too much back and forth. But it would be interesting to see, because again, later on they clarify a lot more that there are fixed points in time, which a lot of people don't like as a rule. I personally think that's fine. It's like, fair enough, because it adds drama, it means that time can be tweaked and whatnot.
Maybe it would have been too much, though. I do agree that it would have been too much. It would have been. I know we get a lot of CGI here, but it would have been too CGI heavy. It would have been too over the top, especially because they have that discussion earlier in the episode.
Oh my God!
Very spooky.
Oh my days!
Oh no!
Now, anyone out there who collects the Doctor Who merchandise, this thing is one of the rarest and most irritating figures to try and get a hold of. They started doing a Build-A-Figure wave around 2008. They started re-releasing other figures with parts of a bigger figure. One of them was the Vesper form, so you could build a big old wasp. And the other one was the Gelth in this form. Oh, we just got a neck snap at tea time.
Actually, almost. It was a very loud snap. It is. I suppose I can see why there were complaints about this episode, because it is frightening. I know that they didn't want it to be as frightening as it was, but it is spooky.
It's
There's
a
all
ghost
this
story,
demonic talking through dead bodies and zombies walking everywhere. I think it's brilliant, but I suppose really Doctor Who is on just after tea time, isn't it?
It would also be, I suppose, the first to dabble into the cliché. It would be the first behind the sofa episode.
Yes.
Of the run too. Like the first two, again, not too heavy on the scares. This one is here to say to people, oh yeah, that thing your parents keep saying about used to scare them as kids. Well, we're here to prove to you that that is probably going to happen again this time around.
Yeah.
And next week, farting aliens.
Yeah.
Oh my days.
It's very frightening.
But that big old Gelth, that big old Gelth, and its big swirly, flamey form, was a Build-A-Figure that I think you had to get, you had to buy an Ood again, you had to buy Donna again, you had to buy, those are the characters you already had.
Marketing.
So it was the first time, I've been collecting the figures for a bit at this point. I was still living in Manchester at my mum's and I was spending any spare. There it is, there's your Marley moment.
There it is, that's what I was waiting for. Look at her on the left. I love this moment. They hold hands and they're sort of getting ready for the end.
So that's my last. Here's you're trapped in that basement. What's your dying wish? Not to get too morbid, but you're stuck there. The Gelth are about to eat your face, or whatever it is they're planning on doing. What do you want? I'm putting mine out there. I want somebody to give me the Gelth figure, just so I can hold it once.
Did you never get it then?
No.
I'm so sorry.
I couldn't be bothered. But I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry.
Oh man. It's interesting how she's only, the desperation gives her the idea that, oh, no, hang on, no, but I won't die here, because I'm I'm not from here, right? It's like, it's not how it works.
It's not how it works. Yeah, see, I always love the Doctor's references to famous historical moments that he just attended. He was just there, you know.
I want to see these adventures.
I want to see them, but I suppose it's nice that he just alludes to them. But that was a nice moment because Rose insists to him that she came of her own accord, it wasn't his fault, and Rose does that quite a lot throughout her time on Doctor Who. She's very obsessed with him not blaming himself, and I suppose we're sort of starting to see that he does that a lot. Bless him.
What is their plan here?
Kill him.
They're just going to burst out and try and run?
I thought you meant from the Gelder's perspective.
Alright.
Yeah.
So,
That's what I do, just bomb it.
What is my motivation?
Run.
The two people over there who are not the weird eyes. Try and kill him. Alright. What if the author man comes back down? Don't bother with him. Don't even turn around.
Even though he's shouting really loudly behind you.
Oh, hello. Oh, now they've noticed.
Oh yeah, they've noticed him. Look at him on the right, he's going for it.
Oh my
There
God.
are no small parts, only small actors.
And he's 6'5". That's Marley if there ever was
I
one.
love him. Oh yeah, definitely. It's got to be a reference, hasn't it?
Give him some chains and we're on to a winner. Ooh, I think this is the first time I've ever watched this episode. We've got headphones in. I don't think I've ever noticed the one before.
It's
in the mix.
They've really gone for a mixture of of groans.
Oh man, poor Gwyneth. This is creepy as well because they imply, don't they? She's already dead. She's already, especially in the moment when he checks the pulse. So there's just a flicker of her left, but the body's been dead the whole time. Oh no.
Oh, you can see it in the faces. This wasn't meant to happen. I hate it when things go the wrong way. They're not supposed to go this way.
Oh, I loved it. She was like, I can hold them here. Wait, I have no matches. Bugger. Does anyone have any matches? Well, I ran out of them a week ago. Oh, wait, no, I'm supposed to be dead.
It was like Sneed was in this room for a moment there.
Well, you know, if
he could be.
Could he?
He's dead.
Is he? Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, what a pretty matchbox. It's a shame.
I was just thinking that.
It's a shame that we have to lose it.
I know.
Oh yeah, and Gwyneth.
And Gwyneth, of course.
Oh, look at that swarm.
Oh my god.
Just,
another time he's jumping away from an explosion there.
This episode just gives me tingles. It's
such a good episode. It really is a romp, though. It's just so much fun. And it's got heart as well, which is what it... well, that's just Doctor Who, isn't it? But this is a particularly good example.
But even in these moments, I mean, this is a sacrifice. Now, continuing our little tradition, guys, your little pie charts, your little not pie charts, more like your graphs.
Charts?
The graphs, our little tally chart of how many times the Doctor saves the day and how many times someone else saves the day. Albeit maybe with his help, but someone else saves it. So far, Rose saves the day in Rose.
Oh.
She knocks the Auton over and knocks the anti-plastic into the
She
nesting.
does, yes.
The Doctor solves the mystery in The End of the World, but no one really saves anybody in that one. People die, and then Cassandra gets crispy and bursts, which is pretty horrific.
Yeah.
In this one, so technically one win to not the Doctor. Tentative not win for anyone.
Actually,
and then in this one, Gwyneth saves the day. Gwyneth and Charles Dickens save the day.
I was thinking that he actually doesn't... It wouldn't really have made much of a difference if he hadn't been here, now that I think about it.
Naughty Doctor.
It's like in The Big Bang Theory, isn't it, when Amy spoils Indiana Jones? I think that's what we've just done. We've spoilt it.
We've ruined everything.
The Doctor didn't really... No, he did tell... He came up with what they were. He told Gwyneth what to do. He signed her death certificate.
He made sure to remember her one day so we could go, ah!
Yeah. So, so there was a point.
Yeah. This is... Oh, my days. Still lacks an ending. Oh.
You go finish that, Charles. Awkward.
And what I love as well is it's that whole breathing life into them, like giving him that vigour again that he was kind of losing, but at the same time reintroducing the fantastical elements into his work.
Yeah.
Like he.
It's sad he didn't finish it.
Yeah.
You know, could have been Gelth in there.
Come on, if Gareth Roberts can do a novelised version of Sharda, we can get.
It can
Edwin
be done.
Drood and the Blue Elementals.
Somebody do it. Fan fiction now.
DeviantArt, fanfiction.net, wherever. Just mail it to me now. Send it to me.
I love
on a
how we're
postcard.
acting like we actually have some power here. Like, people are actually going to do it.
All the time to read it.
Yeah. It's true, actually, yeah.
I mean, no, we'll definitely read it. We'll do that. That is a thing.
Oh, I didn't realise the microphone was still on.
Aww. Future times. I keep getting lost in any conversation between these two. I just keep stopping to watch them.
I know. I love this moment. Oh, there's so many nice moments, aren't there, in this episode?
Oh, this really
I keep having to force myself to keep talking because I keep getting drawn into it.
Oh, look at him.
I love it when they tell a slightly sad or tortured real-life person that their work and their memory lives on. Obviously going back to Van Gogh again.
Yeah.
It doesn't change anything necessarily, but it changes something. And it's nice as
for that moment.
For that one moment,
they are confident again, like, what I'm doing is important.
It's beautiful.
Oh. Is this the first time we've looked out on the monitor as well?
It might be.
And the hidden CCTV camera somewhere on the end, outside of the TARDIS.
I love it. I love it. He's like, what are they doing in there? Like, what are they doing in there?
Are you playing 7 Minutes in Heaven?
Yeah.
Because Doctor, I'm quite attached to you, and I was talking to this Oscar Wilde fellow, and he told me about some incredible things he's been getting up to. It's like, well.
Oh, look at him.
And our first Christmas Carol ending as well.
Yes, beautifully done.
And we're Tiny Timmed into the ending. Oh,
it's such an uplifting ending. Even though there were sad moments, it's an uplifting ending, isn't it?
I adore this. Next time, ladies and gentlemen. Next time.
The famous shot of Big Ben getting
again, sort of probably the most. We talk quite a bit about this in After Party, last week's episode 2 of After Party. The objects that get toured a lot with the exhibitions and exhibits.
Yes.
The broken up Big Ben tended to make it to most
I never
exhibits
saw
as well.
that. Oh, I'm really sad.
You've not lived till you've seen it.
I thought it was completely CGI'd.
Oh no, the Big Ben's real. They like blew it up.
You've just changed my life.
Oh well. Space Pig.
That felt really quick. That episode. That went by really quickly.
Time flies when you're having gaseous infestations of ghouls.
Yes.
As is the popular
I like that description.
Terminology. I adore this episode. As the first historical of the new run, it sets a tone.
It did everything, I think, personally, I'm just going to go out there and say it. It did it perfectly.
Yeah. It marriages,
everything.
It's a perfect marriage of the alien concept, the invasion concept, with the tone and of the time and the people that they meet. It isn't jarring. A ghost story with Charles Dickens. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
at
it's
Christmas.
perfect at Christmas as well, and it's got so many lovely moments in it that we picked out there, of course.
I mean, like, obviously later on they get a bit more wacky with those kind of things. Like, we've got a giant wasp with Agatha Christie, but it's still up until that point a giant murder mystery.
Yeah,
the tone works. Shakespeare, like,
they always seem to get it in the right context, don't they?
They find the right balance, and I think that one, The Unquiet Dead, just it hits the ground running. And would you say that? By the way, everybody, if your episode's still going on, then you've got some weird warped version because we've reached the menu now.
Yes.
But just sort of in closing, like, traditional Doctor Who, especially the William Hart era and stuff, the historicals were purely historical.
Yeah.
They were more about like
the point,
visiting the era.
Yeah.
There's education,
Education.
We're going to learn something when I fluff my lines. Bless him. Would you like to see a new era Who historical that leaves out the alien influence?
See, the thing is, I don't think I'd mind. But because the monsters, everybody loves Doctor Who monsters, but they've never meant as much to me as the moments in the episode, the Doctor and the companion always mean the most to me. So I would watch it as long as it was well done, as long as I learnt something and there was some kind of dilemma. Then I don't see why not.
Fires of Pompeii minus the pyrovile would still have been a really compelling
It would have been
storyline.
amazing. Yeah, those Transformers-like monsters. I always thought they looked like molten Transformers.
Like the pound shop Transformers.
Yeah, the rubbish ones.
They've so coloured it a bit blue and a bit red, and put, that'll do. Stick it in a box. Call it shape changers.
Sorted.
Stuff inside a box. There we go. That'll do. Yeah, and similarly, like Vincent and the Doctor, if you took out the Crephaeus, there'd be no reason for them to go back in time to meet him.
Yeah, true.
Because they see it in the picture.
It easily could have.
Easily.
Woo. It easily could have been a brilliant episode without the Crephaeus, I think. Yeah, definitely. But it's funny, I suppose it wouldn't really be Doctor Who if you didn't have the alien. Yeah, well, the Doctor's the alien.
It's a giant loop of time and thoughts.
I know.
And speaking of a giant loop of time and thoughts, we hope you enjoyed this look back, and we hope you learned some things about the Unquiet Dead. We hope you discovered some things about the Unquiet Dead that you didn't quite know before. We hope you discovered things about yourself. We hope that you're going to phone up that person you've not spoke to for a few months and just let them know everything's going to be okay. Make sure that they're not blowing up in a funeral parlour in the late 1800s.
That would be bad.
It would be pretty horrific.
I think the likelihood of that happening again is just...
It's possible. So, Jenny, thank you so much for joining us.
That's okay, it's been so much fun.
It's been a delight. We're gonna have to get you back at some point to record some kind of... We've got an entire Spider-Man discussion that needs to happen.
Yeah, we need to have a discussion about all sorts of things, I
We're
think.
going to have to disguise that as a Doctor Who thing, I think.
We managed it in the after party.
In
Just
the
about.
past, in the future.
In the past or the future, if you haven't watched it yet, in the future.
Where can everybody find you online? Where are you?
I am at Lippmannette on YouTube. It's Lippm for money. I don't know the phonetic alphabet. ANN for Nestine Consciousness. ETTE. And if you really can't find me, I'm at Queen of the Sonnet on Twitter, and links are there. So
Just to get this straight, you've never watched Doctor Who before. You're not particularly fussed about Doctor Who.
No, I didn't want to say.
Yeah.
Well, you were being so nice when you.
I'll be honest. It was I thought Queen of the Sonic maybe.
Yeah, that's it. And you got Mark Gatiss involved and stuff, so I couldn't really say no.
Yeah. What do you like?
Nothing really.
Trumpets and bookmarks.
Trumpets and bookmarks. I don't even know what to say to that. I do like Doctor Who very much. Just to clarify, I am a big fan. If you want to talk Doctor Who with me, you can on Queen of the Sonic.
Do it. Make it happen.
Make it so.
Indeed. Don't quote that. We don't talk about Star Trek here.
Sorry.
This is Doctor Who.
Yes, you're right. Enemies. Pure and simple.
Pure enemies throughout time.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining me. I very much look forward to your Series 9 reviews later this year. I'm more excited about watching you talk about it at the moment than I am about the series. I'm anticipating your reaction more than I am the series at the moment.
I know. You know what? It puts the fear of God in me. I tell
No
ya.
pressure, but everybody subscribe. Join me again in a few days' time for a cheeky little nugget of after-party gold, and again, we'll try and get One Direction involved. We're still pushing for them to make an appearance. Apparently one of them's occupied with something else. Don't really know what that's about. And, of course, next week I'll be here with a special guest to talk about Aliens of London and the precursor to World War III. Not the actual event. I'm talking about a television. I'm talking about fiction. This is fiction.
Got away from you there, I think.
I've been inhaling all this gas. Why did you turn the lamps on?
Terrible
Weird.
idea.
Yeah, it's awful. We're going to go now.
Bye.
We're not very good at endings.
Neither's the Doctor, it's okay.
Hey! Oh, bye.